Hello everybody, welcome back to, what? Where are we? This is not iCraft. This is not Koi's bucket list. This happens to be Mr. Redstone, by the way, aka XP. Yes, I am on his creative server, where this is Mr. Redstone. I've encased him in glass. He had no idea I've done that to him. We'll see what happens when he wakes up. Anyways, he's kind of busy. So I am here on his creative server. This is where he builds a lot of his fun little redstone contraptions. And I decided to build one for myself too. We'll see how long it takes him to get out of there. So I went off and wanted to build a lighthouse. Yes, so let me show you what it looks like again. Let me find the night one. I would have recorded this, by the way, some time ago. But I had some trouble because the server went off. So this is essentially what we are going to be building on my single player world. A lighthouse that actually has a rotating lighthouse system, kind of like this one and that one. These ones are dark for very good reasons, and I will explain in this episode. And what is this episode you call it? This is going to be Project Redstone, where I, Koi, am going to learn all about redstone projects. So we'll see how I do there. Let me find the day button. Hi, XP, miss you. I don't think he's ever seen that sign yet. This is the front of Koi's Lighthouse project for my single player world. Essentially, you want to go down towards the end to see the final product, and this is based on a 1.2.3 version on purpose because I wanted to start with an early version of this, which eventually led to the final product, which is right over there. And then this, by the way, is the controller, so I'll explain that later. So if you guys wanted to see the original version, this is what the original version looks like. It starts off with a six stone pillar on essentially all the corners. And by the way, the iron that you see here is an 8x8 square of iron, which is some random stuff built in. And it's essentially a working clock with the repeater set at 4. And so the repeaters essentially send single from the power system, which happened to be over there, and just kind of runs the system. So I'll show you the power system for now. This is a basic, very basic power system just to kind of set the loop going. And this gets you started with seeing a basic loop. And so, of course, this here does not shut off like it should, but this is essentially a control mechanism just to get the machine started and to get the machine shut off. But unfortunately, as you can see, it will not shut off. You actually have to break the connection. I said you have to actually break the connection and plug it back in to make it work again. So the next layer, as you can tell, is the redstone goes up and over on all of these, and there's bits of extra pieces of blocks, as you can see there. Oh, and this is not supposed to be there. I'm just pointing this button there just to point this out because this is the manual override. This will actually activate this pillar switch here, and this will come in handy at a later point. But as you can see, the system is slowly getting more and more sophisticated as we add another block that goes right off the top two, which happen to be those right there. Just add a second one, and it adds redstone repeaters. The one on the left has to be set at 1. The one on the right happens to be set at 2. And he's noticed. He's noticed I've trapped him. Maybe he'll read the sign. Read the sign. This stuff, by the way, is not as important. I just want to highlight some things. Oh yes, I did leave off here. Then we'll skip this step and move on to the next step, which happens to be putting torches and the diorites all on the top there. This down here, I wanted to use Daylight Center to conserve energy. Yes, and so I actually don't have an on-off switch. It automatically does its thing doing the Daylight Center, which will cause it to do its usual rotation. And when it's nighttime, it will automatically shut itself off. As you can see, I've got a... That was lovely. I got a block there that will connect to sticky piston down there that will actually cause it to work like it should. Now this one here is where I took the daylight sensor and shoved it in and put it down below. So that way the daylight sensor would work. Now the fun peculiar part about this is for whatever reason, this one thing does not stay retracted. I don't kind of know why. I think it's because of the lighted sources up here. But I really don't know why this one stays lighted even though the thing's turned off. It never really shut down. It just stays open pretty much the whole time. It just opens there. But hey, it works to shut it off again. I can't blame it for that. Up here at the top, by the way, we did this. We added some extra repeaters. The repeaters all up here are set on 4, and the torches are all on the top of that die right there. And by the time we go to the final step, you can see kind of how all the pieces kind of came together from step 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we are on step 5, which happened to be putting the lamp together this way. This particular lamp also works on a daylight sensor as well, and the daylight sensor is hidden down here. And now this was the basic one created by technically Creeper Stash, I believe his name was, Creeper Stash, which then got added on by Ganon. Ganon eventually made some changes to this, which made the strobe actually very close to a perfect strobe. The only problem with this type of style here is the excessive lag that you'll find on a system. Your CPU would lag quite heavily because of the strobe light here. And so, Ganon decided to shrink it, and what he did is he got rid of the top blocks there. All the top blocks disappeared pretty much, and you're going to end up with this, and these actually slide down. So what you end up with is this sort of setup, and everything that's blue in there will also drop down, but unfortunately you've got to drop down the timer as well, and this is what ends up happening when you drop down the timer. Can I even get in here anymore? I cannot. I have to go through the top then. Now, you see all the diamond stuff. The diamond represents all of the excess blocks that have no purpose anymore. And so you actually have to shut this all down, and you'll notice this actually drops down here. And again, this is just a demo model. Don't worry about what it looks like or anything. The only problem with what I did here was this. Let's try that again. On, off. There it goes. Now see how it kind of messed it up? I tried all sorts of things to figure out why it messed up, but it messed up. So there's nothing I could do to that. So unfortunately, there was nothing I could do there. So eventually, I came to this style, okay? And this style was the one that I believe actually worked like it's supposed to. Try this real quick. There it goes. That actually works like it's supposed to. The only problem with this is the middle doesn't light up. And again, it's because I screwed up this somehow, some way. I screwed up the connection. And so the connection didn't quite connect properly. And so I ran across somebody else's video who actually improved on the design a bit, and I did some extra work on this. Now what he did was, oh god, it won't turn off. Oh yeah, that's right, it has to be always on in order to turn off. There it goes. That's the other problem with this. It always has to be always on in order to turn all these lights off. So I didn't like that, okay? So somebody else's design has the same on-off location that's the same as before, right? The same place as before in order to make the strobe happen. As you can see, it's still strobing. It's still going to get buried, and level 4 is directly ahead. We will explain level 4 later on once we get there. So we started off with essentially a square. This is actually a 5 by 5 square set in an 8 by 8 not diamond, but iron set. So there's an 8 by 8 iron set with a 5 by 5 square, and it's still got the same timer. The difference here is the timer's set on 2, okay? The timer's set on 2, guys. Now, as we move along, we're adding more blocks and more redstone. As you can see, we put the redstone up there, and we put the blocks with torches. And then we eventually move here, where we add on the top piece. Everything that's a piece of granite in this picture actually is connected to a torch right below it. And you'll notice there's repeaters there. And the repeaters are actually all set on 4. And it goes essentially from the granite block over into the blue block, over into another blue block, and then it dies right there. And in order to continue, it just connects to the next granite block. And so these 4 granite blocks produce that. And so that is what produces our lighthouse, which actually, this is what our lighthouse is going to look like as a finished product. Now, what does this look like when it's actually turned on? It's actually really, really nifty. Check this out. I think I'm gonna have to type it out. Okay, here, let's type it out again. Time set night. Now you can see what that original one did way over there. And this one here, check this out. It actually works really well. It lights up really well, and you're wondering, is this a square lighthouse? Because if you look at it from above, it really does look like a square lighthouse, but it's actually the very, very, very bottom row of diorite is a 9 by 9 diameter circle. So this is an actual circle of 9 by 9, which is what's down here. Everything that is up up in this row right here, and up is all filling in the redstone, so you can actually hide the redstone behind the lamp. And so what this creates is a really nifty feature where the lamp blends in really well on a 7x7 circle. So that's essentially what this is. If I knock this out, you'll be able to see a piece of the redstone. And that's actually why I've got the redstone covered up right there. I have 2 extra blocks on top of a 7x7 circle just to hide the redstone. And then I drop it into a 9x9 because my lighthouse, when I make this on my single player, is going to be a 9x9. Now I could always, overhang this and do whatever up here and just make an extra overhang if I really wanted to. So I could totally do that. That's perfectly fine by me. Or I don't have to. I mean, the overhang would just, I think, be a little excessive, in my opinion. And you're wondering why this has to be open. You see way down there? There is the daylight sensor way down here at the very bottom. So let's make day happen here. And this is essentially how this is all hooked up down here. The daylight sensor powers on this redstone, which goes into this block, turns the block on by pushing the block up, and then drops down over under this way into this limiter, a pulse limiter right here, made up of 2 redstone torches and 2 repeaters. And then it climbs the tower, so to speak. And how do I get up the tower? Let's go this way a little ways. There it goes. Climbs the tower and makes its way working up onto the timer itself, which goes right into the block. So if you notice this again, it's the same 5x5 circle. Now, as I'm climbing up here, you can see the other pieces of the redstone, which happened to be what I shown you earlier. The only difference is the lamp. And, oops, I'm going too high. This is essentially what the lamp's made out of. Repeaters that are set on 1 and little extra repeaters. Now, I will explain something about the lamp once I rebuild this again. That's what we're going to do over here in this area. So this is essentially going to be a replica of what's right over here using the pieces that you see all around here eventually until we get to this step right here. And then we're going to put the lamp on. So we're going to do this block by block. So the first step here is we're going to actually, let me show you what's in the chest first off. The chest, by the way, this is essentially a build this. You need 44 blocks of your choice for the lamp, 19 pieces of redstone for the lamp again, 48 redstone lamps. Now, this may be where you have some trouble getting some glowstone, but if you can get some glowstone early on, you're going to be set. 16 redstone torches, again for the lamp, 20 redstone repeaters for the lamp. Now, if you want to make it automated, like how that one is over there, with a daylight sensor, you're obviously going to need 1 daylight sensor, 3 more torches, 3 more repeaters, 19 pieces more of redstone, 1 sticky piston, and 16 blocks of your choice. And yes, I got the torches. I was going to say, I forgot the torches. Yeah, but 16 additional blocks just to get it automated. Okay, guys, so I am going to build this probably, I don't know. Let's just go step by step, guys. Okay, so first up, we need this timer. Okay, now we have an 8x8 square already. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 8x8 square, and I'm going to create a 5x5 square right in here. Well, actually, you know what? Let's do this because I want to show you what the inside looks like. Let me reset that video just for a second. Okay, guys, so I wanted to reset this just for a second because I wanted to show you the innards of what's actually underground. And what's underground, it goes down about 5 blocks. So that is what is inside here, about 5 blocks or so. So I just want to be able to show it to you on the outside just so you can see what it looks like as I build it. So first step, we're going to need redstone repeaters, okay? Now, it technically does not matter which way you want the repeaters to go. If you have them going this way, it's just going to rotate this way. If you have them going this way, it's just going to rotate that way. So you can either have it clockwise or counterclockwise. What is important is where you set the input on this redstone repeater. So we're going to do a couple of different things. We're going to borrow this Lapis block right here, and we're going to borrow this repeater right there. And we're going to set 4 Lapis on the corners are about 5x5, followed by repeaters, which for the sake of this, I'm just going to follow the patterns. Repeaters going in, repeaters coming out. Repeaters going in, repeaters coming out. Going in, coming out, going in, and coming out. Now we just connect this with redstone here, here, here. Well, let's leave this one open. This one's actually going to be the single, where the single is going to go in. So we'll leave this one open for the time being, just so have a spot to put the single. Now the next step And I think I'm gonna change the block color, not to granite, but I could do sponge. That would be kind of fun, right? Let's do acacia wood. Acacia would be a nice transition between that and there. So all I'm going to do with this is right above the repeaters, I'm going to put a second block right above it, put a torch, and put a piece of redstone on the corner. Oh, and notice the settings that these are on. These right now are set to 2. Now, this one also is set to 2. Technically, this lighthouse was set to 3. And for now, I'm not going to change this at all. I will explain what happened, but let's just put some redstone dust right on top. And what does this do, you ask, right? Let's stick one of these here, stick a line, stick another one of these, and get a lever real quick. I said get a lever real quick, and I'll show you what it does. You see what that does? It turns on the system. Now, if we put the acacia wood right, I said right on top of the repeater, but it has to be the repeater coming out, okay? It's going to go right on top of the repeater coming out. Come on, come on, get on there. There it goes. And then on top of the repeater, we're going to put a torch. And you see how the torch lights up? You can totally check your work by having the system running as you build it, which is really nice. Now, that covers all of these. Next up, if you notice there, I put a piece of diorite that is going right outside of the torch. There is a piece of diorite all the way around going right outside the torch. And what's going on the inside is there is another piece of diorite on the inside as well. So let's go ahead and use diorite for the sake of this. We're going to use the same kind of diorite. There's one, what was it again? I can't see, the glass thing's in my way. Okay, there's a diorite piece right next to the torch to the left and diorite piece right behind the torch. So let's start with that. So to the left of the torch, there's a piece of diorite, and right behind it's another piece of diorite. And pretty much replicate this on all sides. And if you do this right, you should end up with a pretty, oh my goodness, get up, I can't fly. I'm stuck on the ground, guys, okay. No. I know it's tough flying and trying to place blocks like on a torch, but whatever, it works. It really does work. Okay, so you should end up with this really nifty star shape or plus shaped object right here if you did this right. And this is actually very important because this torch will be powering, as you can see right over here, will be powering a repeater right there and will be powering a repeater right there. So if you kind of zoom up there, you can sort of see that plus shape object. And if you look down here, you definitely see the plus shape of the diorite. Now right above it, I got some blue lapis, and the blue lapis I'm going to change to, for the sake of this, just make it kind of a really nice contrasting color that we can see really clearly. Let's do lime wool for the sake of this. So you see how I got a granite block, which I'm going to keep a granite block. There's going to be 4 granite blocks. All 4 granite blocks are going to be going right on top of the torch, on top of the torches themselves. So that way, we know where our torches are. Now, you don't have to do this way. You could, but you don't have to. Now, as for the lapis blocks, notice where the lapis blocks are. They create a plus shape around each one of the granite blocks. So if we do this just right, you should have a plus shape. So if you stick some wool, we're just going to borrow the wool for the sake of this. If you make it into a plus shape like this and then take out the centerpiece, you pretty much got the shape you're looking for. So that's what I'm going to do with all of these. I'm just going to essentially create that plus shape going on with all of the pieces until I end up with the last one. What goes on top is going to be torches. Now, if you put them on the granite blocks, you'll see that the granite blocks blink. But if you put them on the wool does absolutely nothing. So you remember how I mentioned the repeaters? There's going to be a repeater coming out there. It's going to connect to here. Now, if I put a second repeater, it's pretty much going to kill the system. At some point, it will just kill the system. So I'm essentially going to put repeaters going in, pretty much from every granite block to a wool block, up to another wool block, and then going over to the left, granite block, wool block, and then it goes over here again, right? Let's try that again. Granite block, repeater, wool block, turn right, repeater, wool block, shift over to the left, you'll see granite block behind me, repeater, wool, shift left, and it just kind of repeats the same pattern again. Now, if you did this just right, you see how it's circling the pattern now? Now, if you look at the system over here, you'll notice that these are actually all set to, the ones on the outside are all set to 4, the ones on the inside are actually set to 3. So that's what I'm going to do. And these down here at the very bottom are actually set to, in the end of the day, is going to be set to 3. But I will take care of that in just a minute. So you see what happens when I change the system speed? And you notice how it's kind of screwing up the system? I'm shifting all the ones on the outside to 4, and shifting all the ones on the inside to 3. So once they're all set at 3, you'll find the system just doesn't work anymore, right? Why doesn't it work? Well, you just kind of have to restart the system. That's what we're going to do right here. Now, by restarting the system, it should get everything working again, but why doesn't it get everything working again? What's wrong with it? Well, shoot, you've actually got to change the time on this right here. Let's make all these 3 first off. And with these all set to 3, that should give the time delay for the system to work. There it goes. So that actually gives the time delay needs to go from this one to power that torch to power that one and make the entire system connect like it should. So again, the ones on the timer down here, which is these guys, these are all set to 3. Okay, despite what it was set before, I changed it to 3 by the time I got to final design. The redstone the repeaters on the outside of this portion here is set to 4, and then the repeaters on the inside portion is set to 3. Now, what about the lamps, you say? What's going on with the lamps? Well, check out the lamps. Let's go inside for a second because I want to show you what's up with the lamps first. Okay, if you notice here we are. So this is our system here. There's a block right there. And right above the block is a layer, a slab layer, which then has the lamps sticking out on the outside of it. So what does that mean? We're going to take some, I use lime green, so now let's change the color to something else. Orange wool, yellow wool. I could do yellow wool. Why not? Actually, let's do diamond block. That would be fine. So if we take a diamond block, 1, 2, 3. Okay, this would, not here, sorry. 1, 2, 3, there it goes. So we're gonna essentially put blocks on all of the outer torches. Basically it goes over 3. That's what gives us our 5 by 5 square. Now if you notice, originally I'm still on that 5 by 5 square. Now what about down here? We're also gonna put a block on the inside to create a plus shape. This is what's going to power the lamp. Now, as for the lamp, there's going to be lamps going on out here. Okay, usually the lamp goes in a 9 by 9 square, but wait, why is the lamp not working? Quite simply, inside here, we need to have a repeater. And I believe, if I did this right, the repeater's all set on 1. So let me take a redstone. That saved me some time there. Take a redstone, and you notice how the lamp lights up? But what about these corners? That's what the redstone here is for here. So as you can see, it's cycling this entire system right here. But then how does it get to the side? Well, if I put a block here, it's being powered right there, but it does not power this block entirely, right? This block still needs some extra help one way or another, because once I get right over here, we're going to be back to the same problem again, where I'm not lighting the entire block. But you see how that works? It's lighting and then it stops, because we need essentially to replicate this pattern across the entire top. So I'm just going to stick all the lamps on really quick here, guys. All the lamps are done in 9 by 9 style. And if you notice, the bottom lamps are up against the diamond blocks there for the entire set. And so for this to completely rotate, we just have to stick a redstone repeater on all of the systems here and connect all of the dots, so that way the system will rotate properly. And we just have to also, I completely forgot to add some extra pieces right there. Okay, good. So if you did the job right, you should end up with a light that looks like this. Okay, this will be essentially your beginning And I really want to turn this guy off. This guy is totally all wrong. Okay, I popped open a hole from mine to there, to mine again. And this is where the daylight sensor sits. The daylight sensor sits approximately 1 block, 2 blocks, 3 blocks. It's like right above the 3rd block. Okay, so we're going to get that daylight sensor in first, right above the 3rd block. And we're going to use, in this case, let's just go yellow wool because it kind of stands out from the green here. And so here's 1 block, 2 blocks, and 3 blocks. This is where the daylight sensor is going to go. Let's just grab a daylight sensor here and stick this in my inventory just so I have it. I don't need lamps anymore. Thank you very much. Daylight sensor is sitting right on top of here. We can get rid of the blocks right underneath. Now, it's important and pretty imperative that we somehow get this block to connect to the daylight sensor, okay? And we also, it's very important that we somehow get this working on a sticky piston. So let's get a sticky piston in my inventory somewhere. And we also need just a random block, and I guess we can use the diorite block for that purpose, just to highlight the diorite block. So sticky piston here, it's going to go right there, about 2 blocks down, and then diorite's going to go here. So when this gets powered, it pushes this up in order to get the system to actually activate. Now, we have to somehow get this connected to the daylight sensor. This is actually where we're going to need some of the extra space right here in order to reach the daylight sensor. See how it's connected there, right there? And it's going to essentially go around like this. So that way, during nighttime, this block will go up, as you see right there. And then during the daytime, it would actually go down. Now you notice it doesn't connect there, right? You can't just like arbitrarily connect that in willy-nilly there. Now this part's connected, okay? Let's go back over here. Let's see, how did we connect the other half then? Well, if you notice, this block right here, actually, yes, this block actually drops down again, and then it goes down to a repeater right underneath the daylight sensor and right underneath the daylight sensor system. What is this for, you ask? This is what's going to power the system going up. So we're going to put this block right back, and it's going to go around like how this one is and going to connect to a torch. Let's do this part first, just because I want to have that on there while I see the connection to what I'm doing here, okay? Okay guys, I fixed it. So one thing I did is I turned the entire system around. It was over here, I flipped it around this way. It just made it easier for me to replicate what's over there. So yeah, so the original system starts off with the daylight sensor about 3 blocks above. It's still 3 blocks above. This is still where it is. And this line of redstone wrapped around here, so that way when this powers on, it does that, okay? And basically powers the system, but does not turn on the system. Next, we need a line that turned on the system, and that's what this other line is for. So all we did here to go down is we went on the outside of the 5x5 block, dropped it down again, put a block there, down at the bottom, the very bottom, there's 1 block up, and then it goes down on the floor to a repeater, which goes right into a redstone block, which is actually, you could just keep one of the 5x5 blocks there, and then a torch. This torch here is connected to 2 pieces of redstone, which actually goes into another block. This other block right here is equivalent to this block right here. Now, if you notice, there's some redstone going over the top. I did not actually do that yet. There's 2 pieces of redstone over the top, and then a torch that's right under here, which is going to power the torch right above it, and 2 sets of repeaters. One is set on 4, the other one is set on 3. Let's get this going and get this in there before it gets too dark on me, I guess. I don't even know if it can get too dark on a creative server. But anyway, so one is set to 4 and the other one set to 3. There it goes. And this here is going to be, that's going to go away. It's going to become a piece of redstone. It's going to go into a block, which is going to go into a torch right here. Now, you notice the torch did not actually actively interact here, and we have to take this part off in order to put a piece of redstone above both blocks. And what this does is it powers this one on here. So when this powers, it turns off this torch, which will then turn off the line and let this torch turn on. Why this is extremely important is because right above it, there's going to be another torch, which happens to be right here. We want this torch to be off. And the idea here is we want this torch to connect to one of these remaining openings. Now, where did we connect it here? If you notice, it's connected right to the one right behind me. So we're just going to make it climb to the very back piece right over here. So how do we do this? We just essentially put a block here. If you put this block here, you notice the daylight sensor does not actually interact with this block right here. Then we put a second block here, and this needs to also drop down to here in order to connect to the torch. So when we turn it on, it didn't light up. Of course not. That's actually funny. I actually disabled the torch by like one block. That's actually hilarious. I don't even need the torch down here. That actually screws up the system. That's actually funny. I don't need this torch. Who knew? Who knew? I actually got it to work without that torch. That's hilarious. So apparently the pulse limiter, by the way, it doesn't need that torch. Let's see if I can take it out here and see what happens. Oops, oh god, I broke the system. Let's take it out here and see what happens. It's off now. Let's see what this one looks like out here. This should now be on as well. It is! Okay, good. So separate day, so it's only going to shut off when I turn on the light. But if you notice here, this entire system is still inside the 5x5 block system. So I'm just going to knock out some of these blocks here just so you can see what the inside looks like and where I went with some of these blocks. Apparently this block's got to stay, because that apparently is now an important block that I didn't consider when I popped off my redstone. This technically is the smallest version of a lighthouse you could possibly make anywhere, realistically anywhere. This is the smallest version you can do with this lighthouse. Way cool, right? Just absolutely way cool. Now, if you really wanted to, you could technically make a ladder, and you just have to kind of borrow some things here to make a ladder to climb up this way, get over this way, climb up this way, and then just make another ladder to eventually make your way up to the top. Now, we're going to try this with night mode. The time's at night, it should shut itself off. There it goes. Now it's turned off, and I actually have it flipped around the wrong way, but that's okay. For the sake of this, return it to day, and let's see what happens with this one. Oh, way cool. It actually works. That's actually too awesome. Why I say that? Because originally I had to set one of these to 4 just to fix that weird delay problem, but I fixed the delay problem. I took out a torch and that solved everything. Yeah, so this happened to be a revolving redstone lamp, and it's set at an actual, this build here is set at essentially a 9 diameter circle. And that's what this very, very bottom piece is. If you wanted to get away from a 9x9, you could technically go with a 7x7. If you don't mind showing off this little tiny bit of redstone right here, you could show off this tiny bit of redstone. And this redstone is what's powering, by the way, that torch that's right up there. And that's essentially why it's there. But you could get away with a 7x7, just having a little tiny hole with some redstone glowing through it. And you could do some creative things to cover that up, quite frankly. And it's really only that part. So you could, in theory, make a 7x7 wide system. Now, this is 5. This right here would be number 6, and you could also kind of work around 6, but ideally the smallest lighthouse you could build is a 7x7 or 7 diameter lighthouse. But if you want to get away with that a little bit more, just add a couple extra blocks and then go with a 9 size lighthouse. The top, the very, very key thing you've got to do on the top here, leave the center hole open so you can at least get the daylight sensor. I mean, who's going to realistically, who's going to be up here on the roof? Right. So if you're really concerned about things like rain and whatever, just get some glass. I don't care what color glass you use, just get some glass, stick it here, and you'll solve any rain problem that you might have, okay? Any kind of rain problem you have, problem solved. It looks like I want to rain on the server now. There it is. Okay, good. So we got the lights working. We're going to do this one more time, set it time to night. And look at our pretty lights. They're rotating actually perfect sync. That's totally awesome. And again, I'm just going to show you this real quick. Real quick last minute thing. This is set all three, right? We're just going to turn the repeater facing the other way now. Now, in order to do this, technically, you just have to remember where some of the block... Oh, no, I just killed the block. Okay. Technically, you just have to remember where some of the blocks go, okay? I screwed it up. I screwed it up, guys. So, if you notice, in order to get this to rotate the opposite direction, all you have to do is start with this facing the other way and then move all of the blocks. Just flip these blocks over here. This row right here could pretty much stay the same, and then you'll just have to kind of flip the repeaters also to follow along with the bottom block. And so I'm going to do that really quick just so you can see what it looks like rotating in the other direction. Stay tuned. Okay there, it took me a few minutes to get that turned around, but now I got it rotating actually in the other direction. And how I got it to rotate? First off, everything down here stays identically the same. Nothing changes down here in relation to how it turned on. The only difference here is I took the timer and I flipped the timer upside down. So instead of the timer going this way around, it's now going that way around, okay? And in flipping the timer, you actually have to flip the torches from one end of the timer to the other. And then when you flip the torches, the diorite level here stays identically the same. What does change is the granite block now becomes the storage block where the torch is right beneath it. And it has to go in to the right rather than in to the left, okay? Because the original granite block would have been here and it would have been pointing this way. But because it's now going the opposite direction, you just have to flip all of these repeaters around. If I was going to look at the ones on the inside, you could see how this is now flipped around. Instead of it going counterclockwise, it's now going clockwise. And so you could make your lighthouse go clockwise and or counterclockwise. Turn this on today, and the system should shut itself off on both of these and should shut itself on or turn itself on both of these as well. So I got a perfect system. One beautiful lighthouse. I love how it looks. It looks like a torch now. And just to make it pretty, just do this sort of thing. And if you want to see me build the bottom, check out my bucket list series where I will be building the bottom of the torch. And I will refer you guys back to here to see how the top of the torch gets built. But essentially what I'm going to be looking at here, by the way, it's going to be from this bottom layer here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, at least 16 layers up off the ground just to get the main body of the lighthouse up off the ground. Just 16, about 16 blocks up. Okay, and then everything under 16, you can do whatever you want with it. You can have a balcony, you can have living quarters, whatever it is. But when you actually enter the lighthouse, for example, if you have a way up, which generally is in the center, generally you'd be popping up here. You just pop up here, you can find a way to climb up and out. So let's get some ladders real quick. And I'll show you what this looks like with a ladder. And you might need some extra blocks or whatever just to kind of make this happen. But for the sake of this, we'll just go ahead and go with some diorite. See, technically, you could just put the ladders going out here, climb up here, get onto the daylight center area, and then from this part right here, just kind of float this going down to where this torch is at there. As long as you don't cut off any redstone, you can pretty much set a ladder to where you can just climb your way up kind of like this. And pretty much you're right here. And from here, I need to get the ladder stuck there. There it goes. Pretty much once you get to this point, there it goes. Once you get to this point, you just have to kind of find a way to hop up here. You might have to disconnect this ladder a little bit just to make that happen. But you can technically climb your way up and then get yourself settled, and there you are in the lamp system. And you could actually be in the lamp system just by simply doing that. And so definitely there's a way to get up here. I just kind of designed it where the idea is you don't need to be up in anywhere in this system. Okay guys, so I'm done talking. I've talked for a little while. I'm probably going to have to do a bit of editing to cut some of that out. And so I'm going to leave you guys with, if you like this lighthouse, this rotating lighthouse project here, let me know what you think. Leave me a like, leave me a subscribe, give me some comments on what you think. If you have questions about how this is built, let me know and I'll see if I can do some clarifying for you. I'll try to do my best to help you out with that, okay? We'll see you next time, guys. Bye! Guys, that is hilarious. There's a creeper inside here. Any other day I would totally panic. Oh my goodness. Hello, Sir Creeper. Look, XP. It's a creeper right here.